Hello, Randy. Hi there, Randy.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
So I'm good. Are you seeing the welcome screen,
I
April?
am. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So I'm going to mute myself and I'll be back shortly.
I'm going to go offline and I'll be back shortly.
Okay. Good deal.
All right.
I'm coming. I'm trying to make sure I'm signing in this as I can see because I sign in. Can't be by Wi-Fi. All attenders, microphone will be muted. Please share any comments in the chat box.
Randy, I see that I'm not going to be able to share my screen when it comes time to do that, as things are set up right now.
Okay. Hang on 1 second. Once we get going, I will allow you to share it.
Okay.
Just in case it doesn't work, why don't you email me? How big of a file is it?
I've got 2 PowerPoint presentations, just a few slides each.
Okay, try emailing it to me, and then if you
Okay.
want to also put it on the Google Drive folder, in case it doesn't work, I'll be able to pull it up and share it.
All right, I'll send them both to you now.
Okay.
It normally works though once you do the little share with others can share things. So
Yeah, I'm going to do that here in just a little bit.
all right.
sorry for right now. It's this way. I know it's hard to believe in things you cannot see, but trust me, it's better than we ever dreamed. So close your eyes, I am near.
There you are on your phone.
I only happy tears, for I am with the one who my soul so deeply loves, and will wait for you up here. There may be times you just can't help but break down and cry, wishing so bad I could be right by your side. But he will hold you until then. Let him be closer than he's ever been. I promise one day I'll see you again. So close your eyes, I am near. wishing so bad I could be right by your side, but he will hold you until then. Let him be closer than he's ever been. I promise one day I'll see you again. So close your eyes, I am near. I know goodbye was not the word you wanted to say, and I'm sorry for right now it's this way. I know it's hard to believe in things you cannot see, but trust me, it's better than we ever dreamed. So close your eyes, I am near. Cry only happy tears, for I am with the one who my soul so deeply loves, and will wait for you up here. There may be times you just can't help but break down and cry, wishing so bad I could be right by your side, but he will hold you until then. Let him be closer than he's ever been. I promise one day I'll see you again. So close your eyes, I am near. Cry only happy tears, for I am with the one who my soul so deeply loves, and will wait for you up here. Yes, I am with the one who my soul so deeply loves, and will wait for you up here. I know goodbye was not the word you wanted to say, and I'm sorry for right now trust me, it's better than we ever dreamed. So close your eyes, I am near. Cry only happy tears, for I am with the one who my soul so deeply loves, and will wait for you up here. There may be times you just can't help but break down and cry, wishing so bad I could be right by your side. But he will hold you until then. Let him be closer than he's ever been. I promise one day I'll see you again. So close your eyes, I am near. Cry only happy tears, for I am with the one who my soul so deeply loves, and will wait for you up here. Yes, I am with the one who my soul so deeply loves, and will wait for you up here. I know goodbye was not the word you wanted to say, and I'm sorry for right now it's this way. I know it's hard to believe in things you cannot see, but trust me, it's better than we ever dreamed. So close your eyes, I am near. Cry only happy tears, for I am with the one who my soul so deeply loves, and will wait for you up here. There may be times you just can't help but break down and cry, but He will hold you until then. Let Him be closer than He's ever been. I promise one day I'll see you again. So close your eyes, I am near. Cry only happy tears, for I am with the one who my soul so deeply loves, and will wait for you up here. Yes, I am with the one who my soul so deeply loves, and will wait for you up here. I know goodbye was not the word you wanted to say, and I'm sorry for right now it's this way. I know it's hard to believe in things you cannot see, but trust me, it's better than we ever dreamed. So close your eyes, I am near. Cry only happy tears, for I am with the one who my soul so deeply loves, and will wait for you up here. There may be times you just can't help but break down and cry, wishing so bad I could be right inside. But He will hold you until then. Let Him be closer than He's ever been. I promise one day I'll see you again. So close your eyes, I am near. Cry only happy tears, for I am with the one
Okay, so hopefully everybody can hear me now. For some reason, I'm not showing up. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Or chat something in the chat box there. All right, good deal. Thank you, Kathy. All right, so welcome. I know this is not the ideal way for us to hold this event, and we've been doing this event now for 3 years. And I guess one positive, if we're going to pull anything out of it, is we're not getting rained out. And I'm not sure about where you are, but it is pouring down at my house. So this way we're not getting rained out. So I just want to welcome everybody to the 4th annual International Overdose Awareness Day, North Carolina, Raleigh for Change event. There's a whole group of people, which we'll talk about later, that are behind getting this event to work, and couldn't be done without everybody that works together. So I welcome. I'm going to ask Pastor Rodney Cole to please get us started at this time.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. Heavenly Father, we truly want to thank you again, Lord, for this opportunity, God, Lord, and ask you, God, to bless everyone that's on this line right now, God, as you lead us and direct our path. We just want to tell you thank you, Lord, and give it all to you right now. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Cole. So a couple of logistics things as we go through the evening, and how we will, kind of how things will work. I want to just, again, remind everybody that, this is technology, and I'm probably not the most technology savvy person in the world. So if we run into any glitches, I apologize in advance, but hopefully we'll work through them together and be able to have a good event here. So I'm looking for one of my participants here. Frida, are you out there?
Run to Karen.
There you go. All right, Frida, you want to go ahead and read the proclamation?
Yes, I will. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, you might, Frida, you might want to get a little closer to the microphone.
Okay, can you hear me okay? State of North Carolina, Roy Cooper, Governor. Overdose Awareness Day 2020. Whereas more than 770,000 Americans died from drug overdoses from 1999 to September of 2019. And whereas from 1999 to 2017, more than 13,000 North Carolinians died from unintentional opioid-involved poisoning deaths. According to Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates, the cost of unintentional opioid-involved poisoning deaths in North Carolina totaled $2.5 billion in 2017 alone. And whereas overdoses have risen exponentially during the COVID-19 crisis, visits to the emergency department due to opioid overdose in May 2020 were 25% higher than the same time last year. And whereas behavioral health and substance use disorders have been significantly impacted by the public health response to slow the spread of COVID-19, as people are experiencing the effects of isolation, restricted access to some care services, and increased anxiety on their overall health. And whereas the Hope for NC helpline, 855-587-3463, is available 24/7 for anyone in North Carolina who might need to talk, find behavioral health or substance use treatment services, or seek crisis intervention. And whereas the North Carolina Opioid Action Plan, released in June 2017 and updated in June 2019, includes agencies and community partners across the state who continue to work to combat the opioid crisis by promoting strategies to reduce unintentional opioid overdose deaths by 20% by 2021. And whereas over the last 3 years, the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services has distributed more than 130,000 units of naloxone, a life-saving medication for individuals experiencing an opioid overdose, and over 12,000 uninsured individuals have accessed medication-assisted treatment through federal discretionary grant funding. And whereas more than 20,000 individuals receive medication-assisted treatment for opioid use disorder on a daily basis from one of our 78 opioid treatment programs in North Carolina. Learn more about treatment programs, syringe services programs, and other evidence-based tools to prevent overdose deaths in North Carolina at www.morepowerfulnc.org. And whereas Overdose Awareness Day spreads the message that the tragedy of overdose death is preventable, raises awareness to reduce the stigma of addiction, and commemorates loved ones who have been lost to this crisis. Now, therefore, I, Roy Cooper, Governor of the state of North Carolina, do hereby proclaim August 31st, 2020 as Overdose Awareness Day in North Carolina and commend its observance to all citizens. And now we will hear a little bit more from our governor.
Hi everybody, Roy Cooper here. Today we recognize the people battling substance use disorders and those we've lost to overdoses. Our opioid action plan had been seeing success with a reduction in overdose deaths and trips to the emergency room for overdoses. But as we battle this pandemic, we've seen a 21% increase in those emergency room visits this year as compared to this time last year. The COVID-19 pandemic has upended our everyday lives, changing our plans and our routines, something that I know has been particularly difficult for people in recovery. To reduce overdoses and help our communities, we need to increase access to care and combat the unfortunate stigma that can still be associated with substance use. When this pandemic began, we moved quickly to allow providers to offer services remotely. That's helped. We've directed funding to provide additional mental health and substance use disorder services for people who are underinsured and uninsured. But the most important way to treat people for substance use disorder in our state right now is expanding Medicaid. States that have done it have seen overdoses go down. It's past time that it happens here. I'm grateful for events like the Rally for Change that are working to start more conversations about substance use, breaking that stigma, and working for real change. Let's do it. Thanks so much.
Okay, so thank you. Again, we're now going to move into our speakers, and I have the honor of introducing our first speaker. April Rivero has become a good friend over the last 5 years since we met. And the way we kind of met, it was just everything lined up, and you knew it was meant to be when it happened. I had about 3 different people tell me that this was somebody I should meet. I should meet April. And then somebody actually introduced us, and we talked on the phone. And about that time, she and Frankie Andrews here in North Carolina were talking about doing the first Raleigh event. And so it just all kind of morphed from there. And April and her organization, National Coalition Against Prescription Drug Abuse, have been our host sponsor every year for this event. and that it could not have happened without them. She's allowed us to use NCAPDA to be able to take donations and just do all of the things that the nonprofit needs to do, and has managed it all in the background, and we're very grateful. So I am now going to turn this over to April and let her tell you about her story. April, I think you're still muted. Let me see if I need to unmute you.
Got it. Sorry. That's one of those technical things. It's hard to remember to do. Anyway, I wanted to first welcome all of our attendees and especially thank Randy and all the other team members and we had quite a few of us working on putting this event together. And although it was really kind of easier to do a virtual event, I think we found along the way, it still did take a lot of work, and we've been meeting every single week for several weeks now. I'd also like to thank Jennifer Alba, who helped take all the slides that I put together of those beautiful young people, mostly that were included in the video that we played earlier, and she was able to build the video from it. And I can tell you, I've done this for the Fed Up Coalition also, and in that case I had, I think about 650 or even more young people that had come to me in the form of pictures that we used to put the video together. And it is such a heartbreaking thing to do. I many times have to get up from my computer and, you know, take breaks here and there, especially as I see in some cases families that have been impacted by having more than one, you know, of their family members. Sometimes it's a dad and a daughter. Other times it's 2 or even 3 young people in their family that have succumbed to this epidemic. And it truly is heartbreaking. Anyway, I just want to thank all of you who did present your photos to us to be included. And I hope we did a good job of honoring them in the video. So thank you very much for that. I thought it would be helpful just to do a quick rundown about who we are. The National Coalition Against Prescription Drug Abuse has been in operation since, let me get a second here. As usually doesn't want to seem to advance here. Here we go. We are a nonprofit organization. We were founded in 2010, so we actually just had our 10-year anniversary. And I'm very proud of that. I had never started a nonprofit organization. I had volunteered for them before, but you know, when a devastating incident happened in our family that drove me towards this cause, this is what I did to give me basically credibility. So when I walked into a school, I could say, I'm with the National Coalition Against Prescription Drug Abuse. And in fact, I'm the founder of it. And I found that it really helped me get into not just the schools, but also to address all these target groups you see here. We virtually will talk to anyone who will listen, as I'm sure all of you would find to be the case. And our mission simply is to prevent overdose deaths and substance use disorder that could obviously lead to them. And along the way, we found opportunities to do policy change and legislative advocacy and to support events like this. All of my work, every bit of it is driven from the loss of my own son, Joey. Joey was born in 1988, and we lost him at the age of 21 while he was away at college at Arizona State University, about 5 months away from graduating. So he was a senior when all of a sudden we get the devastating news that he's been found in his off-campus apartment, and he had died, we learned later, from a prescription drug overdose. That was fueled, absolutely set in motion by prescriptions that he had received just 9 days before from a pill mill doctor operating in Los Angeles. So every day, almost every single day, I talk about Joey in some way or another. I'm speaking to people, I'm presenting, I'm doing everything I can to do, you know, what we need to put an end to this national epidemic that we have of prescription drugs. And for me, you know, we hear the statistics all the time, but it's these beautiful faces you see here. It's all those beautiful faces that were included in the video we showed earlier. This is about families, it's about communities, and it's about our country itself. So the work we do is in that regard. Here's our contact information if you want to take a quick snapshot of that. And again, I just thank everybody for being here today to honor those that we've lost and to also help support those that are currently struggling with their substance use disorder or otherwise are in recovery now, and we sure hope they stay there. They need our support. So thank you very much for the honor of being here, for presenting, and also being a part of this event.
Thank you. Give me 1 minute. We've got a technical thing going on here. I think that fixed it. Okay, there we go. Was getting a little feedback, which happens sometimes with speakers and microphones. I don't know what causes it, but it's a Zoom thing. So our next speaker is someone that contacted me after last year's event and sent me her story. And it indeed is a unique story, and asked that she wanted to be a part of this year's event. And she did. She jumped right in from the very beginning and was right there helping out any way and every way as a part of the planning committee until she decided it was time to have a new baby. And she has since then been a new mom, and we congratulate her for that. So Taylor, if you will unmute, and we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Randy. So I just want to start off by talking about my mom a little bit. So my mom, Linda, was so full of life. She loved to dance and be silly, listen to Bruce Springsteen, watch Hallmark movies, cross-stitch, take spontaneous trips. In high school, she was a beloved class president, a gymnast, a cheerleader. She went to the University of Virginia, where she majored in mathematics and continued her cheerleading career. She was a successful underwriter in the health insurance field, an Excel whiz, and she made her clients feel like she had known them forever. And most importantly, she was a mom, daughter, sister, grandma, and friend to many. On August 1st, 2019, I stood in her apartment kitchen while I heard police officers yelling her name, looking for a pulse, learning seconds later that she was dead. I was in shock. I knew something hadn't been right with my mom, but at that time I only knew that she had suffered from depression and anxiety for most of her adult life. The week before my mom died, she told me and my sister that she felt like her depression medicine wasn't working and that she was sliding. I got a call from her coworkers that something wasn't right, so I drove all the way to Richmond, Virginia to check on her. She had overdosed, but I didn't know it at the time. She said she had an upset stomach, so she took Imodium and must have taken it on an empty stomach. I stayed the night to spend time with her, made sure she was okay. She scheduled a doctor's appointment a few days later, and she was really vague about how the doctor's appointment went. She didn't sound right on the phone after that either. She was always drowsy and wasn't making much sense. So my sister and I had made her promise to text us every hour or two to make sure she was okay. Her work had made her take time off to get herself better, and she was trying so hard to get back to work. A few days later, I realized 12 hours had gone by and I hadn't heard from my mom. So I hopped back in the car, drove up to Richmond. I figured she was sleeping. It was late at night. So my plan was to go to her apartment early in the morning and go force her to get checked into a local hospital for another psych evaluation and give her some tough love. But after no answer on her door and calling the police, that's when I found out she was dead. At the age of 28, my sister and I identified her body at a crematorium, planned a funeral, worked with detectives and medical examiners about her unexpected death, and uncovered my mom's secrets of addiction and financial debt that had weighed her down for years. We found 3 brochures for addiction treatment centers in her purse. We'll never know if she called those. After 12 weeks, we found out what killed her: fentanyl in pills that were sold to her in the disguise of Percocet. The days, weeks, and months following her death had my sister and I feeling like detectives. We had no idea she was suffering from a substance use disorder that had dated back to possibly 2006. In college, she hurt her knee from cheerleading, so that led to 5 or 6 surgeries in her adult life. My sister and I concluded that this was probably her introduction to opioids. Her anxiety diagnosis gave her access to benzodiazepines, like Xanax, and sleeping aids, like Ambien. We found receipts and transactions in her apartment dating back to 2010 of black market purchases and pills scattered around her apartment. There was paperwork also indicating that she was in financial debt. She stuck with pills and never moved to heroin despite going into debt from purchasing pills. For months, my sister and I played back years of memories in our heads, talking constantly about how we missed the signs. How did we not know that our mom was suffering from addiction? First of all, she was our mom. You trust your parents wholeheartedly and believe what they say without questioning it. My mom's socioeconomic status and age was different from many of the stories I heard in the media. I thought only young people were dying of overdoses from hard drugs, not pills. I was wrong. It's also awkward confronting a parent and acting like the responsible adult when your parents are supposed to take care of you. I have learned that this disease does not discriminate based on socioeconomic status or age. A simple Google search of her symptoms after she died allowed me to figure out quickly that she was addicted to pills, but it was too late. She was dead. I figured it had something to do with pills. That was one sign after she died that something must not have been right. I knew deep down that pills killed her. As I replayed memories and swapped stories, I realized there were so many signs that I missed and I wanted to warn others about. My mom would call me and tell me she hadn't slept in days. These insomnia episodes were somewhat frequent in her last years of life. She would have withdrawal symptoms at my house, cold symptoms, irritability, diarrhea, sweating. Her easygoing, fun-loving, spontaneous personality had slowly disappeared over the years. She had become irritable, aggressive, and paranoid at times. She lost interest in going to church, seeing friends and family, and doing her hobbies like cross-stitching. Her self-care had diminished bit by bit, going from frequent hairstylist appointments and cute outfits and jewelry to baggy shirts, sweats, a messy ponytail, and weight gain. She was losing her memory and forgetting day-to-day tasks. Family members shared with me after her death that she had taken pills from their cabinets. I also have 3 distinct memories of seeing her overdose, but I didn't know the signs at the time. She was falling asleep while eating or talking, slurring her speech, didn't have coordination, had pinpoint pupils. For years, I had snuck into her purse and bathroom to look at her pill bottles and Google what she was taking. And unfortunately, that became my new normal. So much so that I didn't question what was going on. The symptoms of her depression and anxiety were blurred with the signs of addiction, allowing her to hide it extremely well. She was still functioning enough to get by and appeared healthy, but the truth was I had lost my mom gradually over the years. She was a completely different person. So why didn't she get help or confide in anyone if she was struggling? The answer is stigma. Mom was always embarrassed about her mental illnesses, probably because her friends and family never understood her struggles. Many people she loved told her to just go get some exercise, get together with people, practice mindfulness, go to church, that will fix your problems. The stigma of mental health definitely made my mom feel isolated and alone. Unlike her depression and anxiety, her addiction was a complete secret until after her death. If addiction treatment was normalized in our society, maybe she would have checked herself into a facility or at least been willing to admit to friends or family that she had a problem. The shame and stigma of mental illness and addiction killed her. So where do we go from here? It's too late to save my mom, but we can save other lives. How can we erase the societal stigma of addiction? Here are some questions to ask yourself. What are some preconceived notions you have of addiction that aren't true? I know I had some before this tragedy struck my family. Is it that you refer to people as addicts? It's important to use person first language. So instead of saying addict, say person with a substance use disorder. Is it that it is not a brain disease? Science tells us that addiction is a disease and it rewires a person's brain. Is it that it is a moral failure, a lack of willpower, a choice? I hear many people tell me this. And the fact is, it's not a choice at all. It's a disease. Is it that it isn't a true problem until somebody hits rock bottom? People can be functional and still be suffering, just like my mom was. All of these things and more may be preventing someone you love from confiding in you about their struggle or checking into a treatment center. It may also be keeping you from recognizing that they need help. Think about how you can change the language you use about substance use disorders and how this disease affects people. My family story could have ended very differently if my mom had recognized her addiction as a disease rather than feeling like a failure like society portrayed her as, or if my sister and I had known what signs to look for. We need to work together to raise awareness and erase the stigma surrounding addiction in order to end this horrific epidemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. Like I said, we all know, those of us that are here and those of us that have, especially those of us that have lost loved ones, know that this, as Taylor said, this disease shows absolutely no boundaries at all. It's every demographic. Doesn't matter who you are, what age you are, whether you're a parent or whether you're a child. And we've all had to learn, a lot of us have had to learn that, I guess, the hard way. So Taylor, thank you again. And I really do appreciate that you were willing to tell your mom's story and your family's story, because that's what this is. These are family stories. They're not my stories. They're our stories. And I'm a firm believer that the only way we're ever going to end this, that we're going to end the stigma, is to tell our stories and to share our stories. So thank you. So up next, for those of you that were with us last year in Raleigh, you got to meet Rebecca Ward. She performed for us live last year. And since that time, Rebecca has actually had several songs that have been recorded and released. She's got a couple that are actually have been, several that have been playing on the radio. And is just a truly amazing person. So when we reached out to her this year, she said absolutely she wanted to be a part, but unfortunately could not be here on Monday night. So what she did is she provided us with a number of songs. The song that was behind the video loop, that song has a bit of a story behind it, but if you listen to the words, it is a perfect fit for that video, we believe. And that's another one of those divine intervention moments when we met her last year. We were looking for someone to perform. We had someone. It didn't work out. They ended up canceling kind of at the last minute. And one of our planning committee members, Jennifer Alba, said, hey, I've got somebody that if she'll do it at this late of a notice, it would be great. And we had asked her. And initially she had said she didn't think she could. And then we checked back with her. And she said, absolutely, I've been stressing about it since you asked me originally, and this is something I just feel I'm supposed to do. And I think everybody that was there last year would tell you she was an absolute treat to be there. So I'm going to play one of her songs next, and this song will be playing behind this year's version of the Lost Loved Ones banner. I'll go ahead and tell you now the program that I sent out to everybody, and if you didn't get it, you can drop me an email later and I'll make sure you get that. But the program that sent out, the Lost Loved Ones banner, is at the very back of that. If anyone would like a high resolution file of that, if you'd like to have it printed professionally, I can provide that. So just let me know and we can get that to you, after tomorrow, the next day, something like that. Just make sure you email me and let me know.
And
Okay.
Randy, could I interrupt just a second?
Yes, go ahead.
Some people have asked about the video. I want to make sure everybody's noted that I have uploaded it to NCAPDA's YouTube channel. So go to YouTube and just search for capital NCAPDA and you'll see it waiting for you. You can view it, you can download it. It belongs to all of us.
Give me just a second. I got a last minute request that I made of someone, and I'm letting them know that they're up next. Before I show the banner and the video, we would like to have recognized Dana Carroll, and she is going to recite Serenity Prayer for us.
Thank you, Randy. Beautiful job this evening. Thank you, everyone on the committee that's done great work to put this day together. I'm honored to be in your presence. I will read the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Luckily, the leak that we sprung where we're pulling the master vanity out wasn't all that bad. So we were able to do a couple minor repairs, patched up the ceiling, and got right back on track.
Sorry, guys, got a little technical glitch. Bear with me 1 second. For whatever reason, this does not want to switch screens on me. Okay, we're gonna start that over. I think. All right, so this is frustrating. I thought it was playing and I'm getting a message that it was not. So bear with me. We're gonna get this fixed because I really want this to work. All right.
Randy, have you tried unsharing and then resharing your screen?
That's what I'm gonna have to do.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. And I've discovered one other thing in the process of doing this. Zoom will not let you do two things at once. That was why it stopped playing in the middle just a minute ago. So, and I really want this to play on screen one, and PowerPoint will not put it over there. So I apologize, guys, but you know, these things happen with technology, especially when you are kind of new to this. This is the first time that I have done a meeting this large, so I do apologize again. All right. Whatever reason, it's not letting me stop the share. That may be part of the problem. Why don't you give me a thumbs up if that's working?
into a masterpiece. Only you can turn a mess into a masterpiece. And when I see brokenness, you see the beauty. Oh, you meet me where I am, drowning in the sorrow of my past. You finish what you first began, and it's a masterpiece. You finish what you first began, and it's a masterpiece.
Okay. So I would invite everyone to look up Rebecca's YouTube channel. She has a number of videos out, and we'll be seeing another one here in a little while. But for now, I want to bring our next speaker on. This young lady, I guess I met 2 years ago at the rally. Is that right? I see you on the screen. You can shake your head. Is that right? Yeah. Again, just such a touching, I shouldn't say inspiring, it is a sad story, but her strength and what she has done through this has been truly inspiring. And I am proud for her to be able to share it with us here publicly for the first time. And she has been working with Safe Project on writing her story. And if you go to Safe Project's website or Facebook page, you can see the first part of that story was posted today, and the second part will be posted tomorrow. So Taylor, if you will, or Amy, excuse me, I'm looking at my board. Amy, if you would unmute, and you're on.
Hey everybody, I'm Amy, and I'm a wife and mother of 2 little girls. And I apologize if I get emotional or shaky. This is my first time sharing it, so I'm very nervous. But I met Alexander Humphrey in 2015 while he was living in a halfway house. I was naive to what drug addiction was and had to research symptoms and the inside of out of different drugs. Alex told me he had 3 months clean, and I thought this was amazing. There was no way he would use again. 2 months after I met Alex, we found out we were expecting and got married and moved in together shortly after. This is when the hiding in line began. I slowly started learning about his past. About 2 weeks after we moved in together, Alex would come home with marks on his arm, and one night I finally asked, and he told me he had done Opanas. Being a young mom/wife, I was terrified and worried that I'd have to do everything alone. He started going to meetings, or so we thought. He would drive to meetings and sit in his car or just leave. I also caught him smoking weed, which he told me it was no big deal. Things slowly started to get better, and we started looking for houses. A few months later, we got a house together. Things seemed great, and I thought having EG would be a true turning point. 2 weeks after having her, I went into his wallet to get a debit card to pay bills and found a small baggie with a straw. I left Alex for 2 weeks and told him I would come home when he had a plan. At this point, I felt isolated, embarrassed, helpless, and worthless. I often wondered why I wasn't good enough for him to be clean, learning it was much more than that. Well, he came up with an elaborate plan, and things seemed great for a while. Alex ended up losing his job for missing too many days, but soon after found another. Alex loved his new job, but soon after starting, he found someone to give him weed. October of 2016, we moved into a bigger house since we needed a space for EG. Things were great at first because we worked the same schedule, but that changed quickly and I started working 48-hour shifts, leaving Alex 2 nights alone. I would often have to come home and almost be a detective in my own home, searching for drugs. I found everything from cocaine to weed and pills. He would hide things in places you would never think of looking. April of 2017 was full of excitement as EG celebrated her first birthday and first Easter, but things quickly took a turn for the worse. On April 7th, Alex and I got in a huge fight. He told me he was going to visit a friend's grandpa at the hospital, which his location said otherwise. He ignored my calls for hours. When he finally answered, I could tell in his voice he was high. He didn't come home until 4 a.m. I locked him out of the room and told him he could sleep somewhere else because he wasn't being near EG high. The next morning, I came out of the room to wake him up from work, and I noticed he was still in his work clothes from the day before and laying on a pillow. I nudged him with my foot to wake him up and went to the kitchen to make EG a bottle. When I came back to him, I noticed he hadn't gotten up and I could hear him gasping for air. I called 911 and told them he had a history of drug addiction. I thought he was overdosing. They told me to keep him on his side, to keep him from choking as he was foaming around the mouth, and to count his breaths. I counted his breaths: 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths, 4 breaths, and a gasp for air. Had I found him minutes later, he would have been dead. They arrived and administered Narcan. He was still unconscious when I got to the hospital. I was notified by a nurse that based on records, this was Alex's 5th overdose. Alex had mixed heroin and cocaine, creating what they call a speedball, and he did this 3 times. This caused him to have a heart attack, kidney damage, and his levels were equal to that of a dead person. The doctor said he was lucky to survive. A therapist told me that Alex couldn't fully love me if he didn't love himself, and that the next time he would use, God would take him to prevent him from causing further harm to himself. He spent 3 days in the ICU. I left him those days and picked him up, hoping there was a change. One day in the beginning of May, I had to work. I hadn't heard from Alex in hours, but his location showed him at home. I called his work and they said he called out that day, so I called police and rushed home. When I got to the house, police said there was a strong smell of weed and that they had found and charged him with possession of hydrocodone. He didn't know I was coming home and had lied and said police didn't find anything. I told him he needed to get it together. I was packing my bags and leaving. The rest of May seemed great. Then the night of June 1st, I had to work overnight, so I left EG with Alex. I talked to them for hours before going to bed. The next morning at 7 a.m., I texted Alex but knew he was probably sleeping. Then at 8 a.m., nothing. 9 a.m., I get nervous but still wait. 10 a.m., I call Alex 15 times before calling the police. I called and told them he had overdosed a month prior and he had our 15-month-old, so if they would do a wellness check. About 30 minutes go by and I get a call. Miss Humphrey, you need to come home and get your daughter. And I asked if Alex survived. I was told he was presumed dead. I rushed home because I was 45 minutes away. It was the worst thing ever having to alert family. I get to the house and am greeted by officers who told me he didn't make it. EG was thankfully okay. Being called a widow at 22 years old and burying my husband, the love of my life, becoming a single mom was awful. The day after the funeral, I found out I was expecting our second baby girl, a true gift from God, his Minnie. I was left to raise 2 little girls who have no idea who their father is. I often ask myself, will the pain ever end? People often ask me why I didn't leave Alex. I fought Alex's addiction right beside him, but often felt it was hard. I fought harder than he did. I loved him with my whole heart, and I had a fear that if I left him, it would kill him. Alex wasn't his addiction. A clean Alex was the most amazing person. He could light up a room just by smiling or his laugh. He was a true Southern gentleman and an amazing father. Grief hits hard some days, and I feel like I'm drowning, and it hurts to see pictures. And others, it's smooth, and I'm able to smile at memories. Something I realized after losing Alex was just how much I enabled him. I took all the responsibilities, allowing him to just focus on his job and his addiction. A year ago, I shared Alex's story, getting much more attention than I imagined. I would get tons of messages of people sharing their story and saying that Alex's story touched them. So I decided to create a group on Facebook called Addiction Made Me a Widow. I created this group as a safe space for people to support each other and share their stories with no judgment. It now has over 10,000 people in it. I will fight to end the stigma. It is okay to talk about addiction. It's the only way we'll save lives. I want people to know that I understand, I'm a shoulder to lean on, and I'm here to support those struggling and their families, as well as those who've lost loved ones. This year marks 3 years, and it's been the hardest year yet. EG has started to ask about her first daddy, Alex. How do you explain to a 4-year-old that they will never see their daddy again? Maddie is now 2 and has no idea who her daddy is, and will never get the chance to meet him, smell him, or talk to him. Grief truly doesn't go away. It evolves, and you learn to balance life and grief. I've had many friends leave my side because they are embarrassed to be friends with the girl who lost her husband to drugs. I will fight to end the stigma, and I will share Alex's story as much as I can because together we can save lives. Thank you so much.
Amy, thank you. So I am frantically, you guys can probably see me texting people over here. I was frantically looking for our next presenter. I have found out, and if there's anybody here who is an expert on Zoom that would like to text me or chat me, let me know, give me a chat over here in the box. But for some reason, I've had about 5 texts of people that are not able to get into the meeting, and I'm afraid our next presenter may be one of those. So I know it has happened before in some of the meetings that I've been in. I have talked to people later and to the meeting organizers, and for whatever reason, there was a problem, a broken link or a corrupt link or something in the invitation. So anyway, so we're going to kind of skip around a little bit now. Jesse Bennett with the North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition is going to be doing a Narcan training, naloxone training, once we're able to get him logged in. So I am going to go back to texting him. In the meantime, we have in the past had partners, exhibitors at the live events, and we talked about it this year, and we wanted to try to figure out exactly how to, sorry, I was reading something here. April, they're not even in the waiting room. They can't get in at all. So it's the links telling them the meeting has already closed. So
are you able to communicate with them at all to have them send us an email?
I've tried emailing 2 of the people that are telling me, and they're not even, it's saying they're already registered and it won't even send them a new link. So, but anyway, I'll come back to that. So anyway, every year we've had exhibitors and partners from around the state that offer lots of services, everything from North Carolina Harm Reduction to other organizations that were started basically the same way that NCAPDA was, that Safe Project was, and they were started out of loss and a need to put a stop to this unnecessary loss. So, and then treatment facilities as well. So we talked about it early on, and we tried to decide the best way to have exhibitors again this year. We knew we couldn't have the number that we've had when we were live, but we did want to reach out and try to offer a variety of different options and different perspectives. So I'm gonna go ahead and start that, and then once we're able to get Jesse in, which hopefully will be pretty soon here, and if not, we have a backup for Narcan training, although I don't think they're aware of it yet, but I'll chat them and let them know. So we're gonna go ahead and start with, I'm gonna ask Dana with Fellowship Hall if she would go ahead and unmute. I've made her a co-host, so you should be able to share your screen as well. If not, let me know.
We'll see how this works. What do you think? Good evening, everybody. Let's see if we can do this from the beginning. How's that look? And then the trouble is you change the slide and I can't see everybody. I lose you. Hey, I am here this evening. My name is Dana Carroll. I am an outreach coordinator for Fellowship Hall. We are located in Greensboro. I feel a bit hesitant or shy to even talk about Fellowship Hall this evening because I am with and among so many of you amazing parents, loved ones of folks who have had a loss. And I just want you all to know that the angel parents that I am among today, and I couldn't be any more humbled and honored to be in your presence on this Zoom this evening. Any of you that follow me on social media, I was, as Randy and I were talking, I was going to try to change my thing and put up my chair. I decorated a chair for International Overdose Awareness Day. But as we're kind of going through here, I'm just giving you some information about Fellowship Hall. We are a local alcohol and drug addiction treatment center in Greensboro, providing inpatient care to the adult population. So that's anyone 18 and older. And working with those folks who have higher substance use needs and lower on the mental health acuity needs. And looking to provide gender-specific programs so that the guys are in their own hall and the ladies are in the ladies' lodge together. Those folks stay with us for about 30 days in connection to their detox program. And then once that's finished, they either head on to back home, and that could be to an intensive outpatient program. They could also head to a structured sober living. They might also be with our structured sober living. So there's a couple different options. One of the slides I really wanted to touch on and hit upon here is our family therapy program. I am in family recovery. Over the last 6 years, we've been in family recovery as I have a son that will be turning the magical adult 21 this October. And he was diagnosed with addiction. And one of my focuses in today's world is not only representing Fellowship Hall and helping adults that need treatment, but also helping those families that are working with adolescents that need treatment. As we know that addiction is a disease and it affects the whole family. So the family therapy program is really something that we take great pride in at Fellowship Hall. Unfortunately, some of the way in which we've been providing programming lately, much like we're doing here today, has been by Zoom. We've had to change some things as a means to help keep everyone on our campus safe and healthy. We try to do outreach things such as the Walk for Recovery, which was to be in April. Then we thought maybe June, maybe September. I think we have an October date, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that that might be the date that we can do that in downtown Greensboro. One of the things that I would really like to share with everyone, just kind of in being in your presence this evening, is letting you know that you know, I support each and every one of you who goes on day in and day out after losing someone to an overdose. And as April shared with us just before, I commend you for sharing your journey. And I remind everyone, today I'm kind of in my plain purple because it's just a little easier for you to see me, but as I was out getting ready to paint my purple overdose awareness chair, I had on a shirt that I'd gotten from an event that I attended. And I always find that whenever I can wear my attire from events such as this, looking forward to wearing my shirt in the future or other events, that people ask questions. And it's great to be able to give them answers and to share our stories. Because the important thing is that our loved ones, when they are faced with addiction, they are sick people. They are sick people that need to become healthy and well again. Addiction and drug use isn't a moral failure. They aren't bad people that need to become good people. They're sick people that need to be healthy and well. And my number's on here if I can help you or your loved one. And it doesn't have to be with Fellowship Hall. If we're the right place or not the right place, I'm always happy to share my family's journey and experience and bring some courage, strength, and hope to others, and share our journey and be a resource for so many people. And again, this evening really isn't about me, and it isn't about Fellowship Hall. It's about those of you that are here sharing your journeys, I really loved in the chat earlier, someone made a comment about, you know, we're so glad that we can at least be together in this way and be supportive of each other. In today's world, being distanced by COVID and all those things that are happening, it's so great to see people making comments on here of seeing their loved ones and sharing with people that they see year after year at these events. So my hat and my strength is really off to all of you, and you bring me courage and hope to help others so that there can be one less empty chair at the table and another holiday with lots of memories for everyone. So thank you. Do you need me to keep rambling, Randy, or are you ready to go?
No, I think I'm ready to go.
Okay.
I am, let's hope so anyway. So I am going to, they're logged in on 2 screens, so hopefully I'm going to the right one, Leah, but I'm making you a co-host now, so you should be able to log in and share your screen. One of the initiatives that we're seeing nationwide now, and one of the things that we know is very important, when there was a survey done a while back, and I remember the first time I heard this statistic. I was sitting in one of the first meetings, large meetings that I had been in about the opioid epidemic in Raleigh. And somebody was speaking, and they made the comment that this was a pediatric issue. And the fact that they said pediatric issue hit me like it had never hit me. I just never thought of it in that term. And then they quoted the statistics that of people who were surveyed in a study that was done of people who had a substance use disorder. 90% identified that they had started experimenting when they were in high school. 60-some percent, I think it was actually 62%, don't hold me to that, identified that they had started experimenting when they were in middle school. So when I heard that North Carolina was getting several recovery high schools, I thought, you know, that is the start. That's something that this state needs, that every state needs. And so I've invited Leah Wright, who is with Wake Monarch Academy, the founder of Wake Monarch Academy in Raleigh, to join us and tell you about Wake and the things that they will be doing. Leah?
Thank you, Randy. Can everybody hear me okay? Everybody hear me? Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to say thank you so much again, Randy. I was able to speak downtown last year, and I was given the opportunity, so thank you for having me back. And I just wanted to first start off and just say my heart goes out to each and every one of you that have lost a loved one to the terrible disease of addiction. I have certainly experienced that journey to that. My son is actually 21 months now in recovery from heroin addiction, but it was from our journey and the lack of adolescent resources here that it was totally just laid on my heart to start a recovery high school. So thank you again for letting me share this. So I'm going to hopefully do this right, share my screen, I'm going to take you guys through a PowerPoint. Hopefully this is going to work. All right, can everybody see that? I'm hopeful. Is that a yes? All right, thank you, Dana. I appreciate that. So, Wake Monarch Academy, and again, thank you so much for having me, being able to share on the behalf of our board and our team. So just an introduction, I've already kind of introduced myself and the background, but I just want to be able to just increase understanding and raise awareness, give you a little bit of history and current status on the Association of Recovery High Schools, our location, which is huge news here that we just recently come out with, to share about our Be the Light virtual 5K coming up, and to give some contact information. And certainly you can reach out to me for any questions that you have. So what is a recovery high school? So recovery high schools are secondary schools designed specifically for students in recovery from substance use disorder or dependency. Recovery high schools are designed specifically to balance academic instructions with social emotional skill acquisition. The common goals of recovery schools are to educate all available and eligible students who are in recovery from substance use disorder or co-occurring disorders such as anxiety, depression, or ADHD, to support students in working a strong program of recovery, and to meet state requirements for awarding a secondary school diploma. Typical staff at a recovery high school: an administrative staff with an executive director, program director, or principal, teachers, substance use counselors, mental health professionals, peer support specialists, and medical staff as resources allow. Recovery high schools have individualized recovery plans. There's accountability through frequent and random drug tests. A positive peer culture is established. Smaller schools create a sense of family. A hybrid educational model, which means there's a balance between your online educational platform and direct instruction, non-punitive, and assistance when transitioning out of school for continuum of care. So the history behind adolescent recovery actually started in 1971 through the PDAP, or otherwise the Palmer Drug Abuse Program, becomes the first APG, and APG is an alternative peer group. That was in 1971. In 1976, a GED school becomes the first educational program for youth in recovery. 1979, the Phoenix School was opened in Silver Spring, Maryland. And 2002, ARS, which is the Association of Recovery Schools, hosts the first conference in Washington. So you can see recovery high schools started in 1979. There's been certainly a steady increase. There was a dip down, but now we are slowly increasing back up. 2019, it was a leveled off, but now we're increasing to establish more recovery high schools nationwide. Compared to students in non-recovery high schools who have received substance use treatment, students in recovery high schools have higher graduation rates, report significantly lower absenteeism, are more likely to abstain from using substances, and have significantly fewer days using marijuana and other drugs. Cost-benefit analysis indicated that high school graduation rate for recovery high school students is at least 20 percentage points higher than the graduation rate for similar students who have had SUD treatment but did not participate in recovery high school. Based on 2018 data, 916,000 youth ages 12 to 17 had SUD, substance use disorder. 159,000 received treatment at a specialty facility, 0.6%, but this left 787,000 adolescents who needed treatment for substance use but did not receive it. Current status of recovery high schools: there's approximately 44 recovery schools in operation. The Association of Recovery Schools provides an accreditation process that we can actually begin after we've been open for 3 years. But in North and South Carolina, there is currently only one recovery high school in operation, which is the Emerald School of Excellence, which is operating in Charlotte, North Carolina. We will be the second. So the possible structures of recovery high schools are public, private, a charter, or nonprofit. We will be opening or are a nonprofit organization with a collaboration of multiple partners. I'm very excited that we have 2 big partners that I'm excited to announce. The first one is with a place at the table downtown, Maggie Kane, where our students will be able to go and eat lunch every day. They work for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then they will be able to have lunch every day and interact with the community. So very excited about that. And then we will also be partnering with the Insight program, where Insight will be able to do a screening of all of our kids and work with us to make sure that we have the best possible care for these students. So very excited about those 2 partnerships. But our partnerships are developing, but certainly excited about those 2 for sure. Our location, y'all, this is huge. So This just literally came about. We are going to be at Open Table United Methodist Church, which is downtown Raleigh. We just released that information very recently on our website and on live on our Facebook. So funding resources, individual donations through monthly giving, corporate donations, which we are working on, definitely starting that in the fall. Grants come in, get your money that way, strategic giving, in-kind donations. But currently there is not any state or federal funding to support recovery high schools in North Carolina. So we absolutely need help. So this is how you can support us right now. We have a huge fundraiser coming up, the Be the Light fundraiser. It's a virtual 5K on September 12th. You can walk or run. It's anywhere. Starts at 10 a.m. in the morning. It is in memory of Matthew Umstead, and his family is very involved in what we're doing. You can register at wakemonarchacademy.org. Registration link there, and certainly the cost to any donations will be helped in getting us up and running, hopefully in 2021. That's our projected opening. So our mission is to provide a safe and supportive environment that empowers adolescents recovering from substance use disorders to successfully pursue academic, personal, and professional goals. Our vision is for students living in recovery, living substance-free, productive, and meaningful lives. And our core values are we care. Our kids will have community. They will have accountability. They will be accepted. Recovery is first, and they will have an education, because there is hope for everyone, because every life has inherent value. Here is my contact information. You can email me directly with any questions. There is our website that you can get additional information. And then of course you can keep in touch with us on our social media outlets through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So please, and I know that we're running on time, but you can email me with any questions. But again, I really, really appreciate the opportunity to share this. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, sorry about that. I was trying to see if I could figure out what we could do to get Jesse in, but it's right now I haven't gotten it figured out. So this is very frustrating. We had about 200, well, we had exactly 289 people who have registered for the event. And currently we have 81, and I know some people are together, so that that means that we've got a few more than 81. But like I say, we had 290 that registered, so I'm not real sure what's happened. We're nowhere near our limit of 500, so I will keep working in the background as other people present. So, as I said, we are going to go on the fly, and we are going to go back to April Rivero, who is quite familiar with doing Narcan training, and we're going to let her do the Narcan training now. And I know somebody mentioned the shirts earlier, and this year's shirt, last year's shirt we had all of the lost loved ones' names from North Carolina. Thank you, Craig. Craig's modeling the shirt for us there. If you look for Craig Holiday, you'll see him modeling it. So last year we had the names of the lost loved ones that were on the banner on the backs of the shirts. Sadly, this year there were so many names that were added that they wouldn't fit on the back of the shirt to where they would be legible. So we had to come up with a new design. And if you look at this year's theme, around this being more important than ever, and some of the things that are going on and that are happening, we felt our mission of trying to end stigma and save lives and carry Narcan or naloxone was very important. So these shirts, if anybody didn't get one that would like to, you'll be able to access the link to get shirts through the 4th. And then those shirts will be delivered sometime around the 20th of September. And that's all through custom made. If you need the link to do that, I will post it in the chat box here in just a couple of minutes. April, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, well, this was an interesting surprise. I wasn't wanting to do this, but no problem. I do it all the time. So just happened to have a slide deck here to go through. I want to say up front that I would hope everybody that's attending today is aware of Narcan and, you know, the opportunity to save a life with it. What I'd like to offer is this is a PowerPoint presentation that I'm happy to send out to anybody if you want to do some training on your own. I would just invite you to get it from me and share it because it is an important thing for all of us to know. And my feeling is everybody really should have Narcan, period. So anyway, let's just go through this though. There basically are 3 forms of Narcan, naloxone, and the version that NCAPDA is fortunate enough, at least right now, through federal funding to get from the state of California, is Narcan. So that's the version on the left, and it's a spray version. Super easy to use, and I'll demonstrate that a little bit down path here. Otherwise, the super cheap version of it is in the middle here, and that's an injectable version, but there are pieces and parts you have to assemble, so it's definitely a little bit more work. And a lot of people are kind of needle adverse and don't feel really comfortable plunging that into a muscle area where you would, you know, go ahead and put it. The version on the right is super easy to use, and it even talks to you. You raise the top of it, you pull the little top of it up, and bottom line is it will actually walk you through the overdose. And so the only problem with that is it's really expensive, and not all the insurance companies, as I understand it, pay for it, where I do believe that most do cover the other 2 forms. So that being said, the first thing that everybody needs to realize is what these overdose signs are. And I realize some of us have learned really painfully what those could be, but others may not know. Typically, it's somebody that is unresponsive. So even though you're shaking them and you're calling their name loudly, you're doing everything you can to, you know, cause them to become alert, and they just aren't responding. They may have actually lost consciousness. And typically their breathing will either be slowed or stopped completely. And then all of these other signs that you see here, the choking sounds or the fingernails that may be blue or purplish, are a telltale sign as well as potential vomiting and your face being clammy and all that. So in doing this assessment, you know, just trying to rouse them, you can basically do a sternal rub. And you can see it demonstrated on the right in that photo where you're just taking your knuckles and you're rubbing on the sternum area. And if you tried it right here, you would quickly see how rousing that can be, let's just say. Otherwise, another method would be, if that doesn't work, to try something similar on lips, but not, of course, as hard to press as you would do on the chest. All of these things are the case. And of course, if you really in the end assess that they are overdosing, you want to call 911. You want to get help there, professional help there as soon as possible. And while doing that, you want to give the exact location you're at. If you're in an apartment complex, give them the actual apartment number. You know, give them as much support as you can, including letting them know what drugs that person may have on board and whether alcohol was being used when they were taking those medications or any other drugs. So administering Narcan, again, is super easy, much like any kind of a nasal spray that, you know, maybe it's, I'm not even going to remember the name of it, but, you know, just cold remedy, you know, where you have a stuffy nose, you just put the nozzle into the nostril and you push on the pen, and that will give a 1-dose spray into that nostril. So you're supposed to wait 2 to 5 minutes, and if there's no response, you go ahead and use a second applicator. Narcan does come in a 2 application mode. So once you finish that second one, then you're just really hoping that if they haven't revived, you will see the EMTs show up because of that 911 call. And the rousing will be very, very noticeable. You can't miss it. They're going to come up alert. they'll start breathing again. They won't have any awareness of the fact that they've overdosed, and they could even be a little obnoxious about, what's going on with them. In the meantime, though, as you're waiting for EMT to show up, you really need to do rescue breathing if they are not breathing, because every minute that goes by is a minute that their brain is potentially deteriorating. And even though they may recover from the overdose, they could be left with physiological or other kinds of problems that could be lifelong in situation. This is the rescue position that you'd put them in, making sure that their face isn't down on the ground so that if they asphyxiate, they don't breathe that in, and also that you're keeping their air passages open. These are important things to know. Naloxone does not last forever. It's typically 30 to 90 minutes. And so if they have enough of the opioid on board, and especially with all of that fentanyl out there that all of our communities are seeing now, they could overdose again, because the naloxone may wear off and here comes the opioid again into those opioid receptors in the brain, and that will stop their breathing again. It's really important that they go to the ER, because I don't know about North Carolina, but I know in our state, more and more of our ERs are really doing what they can to not just do the catch and release like, was done before, where you go in, you get rescued, and then you just get marched out the door. We are actually doing a gentle handoff where at all possible to folks that can help that person get into recovery, because this is a defining moment for them. They may be ripe for that, and hopefully they will take advantage of that opportunity. You need to, if they won't go to the ER, we have to monitor them for several hours, up to even 7 hours, because they can overdose again. And additionally, because their body's been stripped of the opioids, chances are good they're going to want to use again right away, because they aren't going to want to get into a dope sick mode. The naloxone can only reverse an opioid overdose, but so many of our overdoses now are happening with multiple drugs in people's systems. And so if we can just strip out that opioid, if it's one of the drugs in that person's system, then it could potentially still save their life, even though they may have other drugs going on. And then it's really important to remember that naloxone absolutely isn't going to hurt anybody. So if in doubt, if you think that there may be an overdose and all those signs that I mentioned, or at least some of them are there, just go ahead and use it. It's not going to hurt them. We also have Good Samaritan laws in most of our states now, if not all, that provides limited immunity to people who, may in the environment be using themselves. So we always stress to everyone we present this to that they need to save a life. Don't run and don't worry about yourself. Just make that call. We really feel that everyone should be carrying naloxone anymore in whatever form is available to you. And that's because at any given time, we can run into people who are overdosing in a public setting. It's not uncommon for people to go into restrooms and, businesses, say restaurants or whatever. And literally we can find people on the street that are overdosing. So even if it's not a friend or family member, having it available, carrying it with us where we go, I think is really important. These are methods that you can get naloxone. And I just want to say that I am referring people all the time now to naloxone for all. And that's because in this time of COVID, where we're all locked down, at least I think that's true in your state too, it is certainly where I am, free naloxone will be mailed to you. So you go on this website, just fill in your basic information, including your address, and it will be mailed to you. I tried it myself, and within 2 days, I had it in hand. And then these are some resources that I think is important. We actually, on our YouTube channel, have a naloxone training video. So once again, take advantage of that, download it and use it. You can send it along with the video on how to save a life, and you'll be helping the cause. So thank you very much.
Thank you, April. So we were scheduled to have North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition speak now, and I'm guessing that not real sure what has happened with them. I know that Jesse and I spoke yesterday, and he was had everything ready. We had tested out everything, and so we knew that everything was working and he was going to be here. So I'm wondering if maybe something has occurred. But anyway, we will go on. And so those of you that might not be familiar with North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition, they are one of the state's many needle exchange programs, probably the largest in the state. And they also do a lot of advocacy work around policy in our state. So I would invite you to connect with the North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition and learn what they do. And it's a great place that you could get involved. So April, do you have anything further on NCAPDA that you would like to discuss? I know that you covered that very well, or even Fed Up.
I do have a short PowerPoint presentation relative to Fed Up, and I would like to cover that.
Okay.
I feel like I'm kind of hogging the airtime here, though. So,
well, you were scheduled to be up next, so you're not hogging anything.
All right, so let me go ahead and go over to that. Then I was just typing a chat message in, but I'll take care of that a little later. Let me get rid of that. Share my screen, and let's see here. Here we go. I think that's it. You can see this, right? All right, so so the Fed Up Coalition has been in existence since 2012, and I know that the last 4 years of our rally in Raleigh, we have participated in around the U.S., let's just say, Fed Up rally kind of congregation. So in the past, we've had, I think the first year we did the local rallies, we had maybe 30 or so. I think last year we had about 50 rallies, and they were all connected. And the expectation that the Fed Up Coalition had was that everybody would at least mention the Fed Up Coalition and hopefully share the advocacy opportunities that are offered through this coalition that operates not at a local level, but includes local level people from across the country. So let's see here. Here we go again. Let me do that. Okay, so who we are, and I just want to say that NCAPDA is an annual sponsor of the Fed Up Coalition, and I personally am one of the original founders of the organization, and I am an executive steering committee member of it, so I'm really active with them. We are, though, basically a grassroots coalition, and we're seeking action from the federal government to bring the opioid epidemic to an end. So although most of us on the call today are working at the local level, as is true for me too, this organization that has, members of family and friends and advocacy organization working together as we can work at a federal level to drive federal action. Because if you can go back to, we'll say as recently as the Obama administration, it wasn't until President Obama was about ready to leave office that he finally even mentioned the opioid epidemic as an issue. And it was really 2 weeks after the Fed Up Coalition sent a letter to him directly asking that he do that. That was one of the things that we feel we really did stimulate, and that was really somewhat rewarding, although it took until the next administration for us to actually start to see evidence of it being taken seriously, or at least, them pretending to. So early in President Trump's administration, he actually did announce this as an epidemic. Funding did follow. I think we had initially about $5 billion that came out. And just last week, I got a message from someone who let me know that another $1 billion had been released. Is that enough? Not really. We need quite a few more $1 billion, unfortunately. So we're going to continue our work because we're not done with this. And certainly this year, we expect a lot more people to pass away from overdoses, unfortunately, because of the COVID situation. So we do have a dual pandemic. It's COVID and it's this opioid epidemic, and just plain old overdose epidemic. So our mission is really just to use our voices, our united voices, to call for immediate, and of course this is since 2012, so I don't think we've been real successful in immediate, but a comprehensive and sustained federal action. So it's one thing to say, okay, here's some money. We need a lot more than that. We need our federal agencies to get engaged, and we need them to be working together. And maybe we'll have a chance between the local work that we do and the federal action that we are absolutely dependent on to make this a reality. So our vision is, a world where opioids are prescribed cautiously. So I know behind the scenes, I work with the medical community to have them understand that the more we have, the more pills we have prescribed, the more overdoses we're going to have. And we've got to get a handle on that. And so that can be done at a federal as well as a local level. And we want those who have a substance use disorder to have easy and affordable access and effective access to recovery services. We're a long ways from having that be the case. Our values, and we have very, very strong values, and I'm really proud of them. We absolutely never have and never will take financial money, from the opioid manufacturers or their distributors. And that is both directly or indirectly. So we are extremely careful about that. Every one of the executive steering committee members, including myself, have signed an agreement that we will not, with our own organizations, take money. So NCAPDA holds to this as well. We are nonpartisan, and we welcome any individual in any organization or agency that is in support of our mission and platform to join us. So our history is that we have in the past, since 2013, conducted national rallies in Washington, D.C., and these have been big deal events. I was personally the committee chairperson in charge of these rallies and events, and I can tell you it took an extreme amount of work and money. Unfortunately, it's really expensive to hold events in Washington, D.C. Our last one was in 2018, and it was a three-pronged effort to raise awareness through a rally that was held at the Freedom Plaza. And we also marched and protested in front of the Sackler Museum, which is within the Smithsonian environment there in the mall. And we also had an artful advocacy event that was really cool. We had all sorts of different forms of art that spoke to this issue at a local church in downtown Washington, D.C., and really approached it from a kind of a different kind of point of view than we had in the past. I felt like it was so successful that we actually planned one, NCAPDA did, for the Bay Area in California that was supposed to happen in April of this year, but unfortunately, because of COVID, had to be canceled. We have it scheduled for next year, and hopefully that will happen. All of these events included a march to the White House, and I think that was the, probably the most, important part of this. It gave everybody who attended, a sense of purpose, and, here we are in front of the White House with our candles in front of us, and of course, there was plenty of vocalization, let's just say, a mini protest in front of the White House. And so that was something that I don't know that we're going to do again, quite honestly, because despite the best effort in putting these together, we never attracted, I don't think, more than maybe 2,000 people in year 2. We got down to about maybe 800 or 900 people. And for the time, the effort, and the cost involved, we just really felt like we had to kind of change our mission. And now we are definitely an advocacy group. We built our reputation. We have a ton of followers, and what we do is a lot of advocacy work. And I'll explain how that kind of looks. So the way that you guys can get involved, and even if you're doing local work, like me, you can do federal advocacy level work too. The easiest thing to do is just to join our mailing list. It doesn't cost a thing. And then you can be alerted about the various advocacy things that we have scheduled, and keep on track of, all those things and what we're doing as an organization. You can also, though, become a member, and the lowest level membership cost is $100, and there's various levels of membership for either individuals or organizations, and a lot of benefits that go with that membership. And then you can also join our advocacy committee. And basically that's where the work we do now stems from. Right now, and this happened actually this morning, there was a press conference that I participated in along with other members of our coalition and also external people to call attention to the fact that while there have been lawsuits against the pharmaceutical companies and even the distributors, it's always been about the corporation itself. It has not touched the executives that lead the effort, that make the decisions that have ultimately resulted in hundreds of thousands of our Americans dying from this epidemic. So this morning we announced that we are sending forth a letter to U.S. Attorney General Barr asking that executives from both the opioid-related pharmaceutical companies and the distributors that were sending, these pills out to the pharmacies, et cetera, that they be held personally, criminally responsible for this opioid epidemic. And so that letter did go forward. And if you check on NCAPDA's Facebook, I would say, and it's just NCAPDA, or you go to the Fed Up Facebook, you can find the link to go to the change.org petition that will allow you to also submit your support for this effort. So in addition to the letter, we will have that petition go over to Attorney General Barr. And just as I've been kind of monitoring my phone and all the things going on here today, I got a message from the leader of our Fed Up organization letting me know that Senator Mitchell McConnell has forwarded this letter himself onto General Barr with a request that he follow suit. So we're really hoping that this will take root, that we will see some action from it, and we're not going to give up, bottom line. And the more support we have from everybody here and beyond, the more work we can do and the more impact we can have. So that is my presentation. Here is our contact information. And I really do hope that we'll see some of you join, and hopefully all of you, the effort with the AG Barr letter, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, thank you very much.
April, is there any chance that you might be able to show that slide again that had about the getting the Narcan?
The getting the Narcan, I sure can. I know which one you mean. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was trying to find the link on your website.
What I will do, I'm going to put it on the in the chat for you, so everybody can have it.
Thank you.
You're
welcome. I've been trying to.
That was the naloxone for all one, right? Okay.
All right. So you're gonna put that in the chat where they can get to it on the website, April? April.
You could see my very distinct nod. Yeah, that's a yes.
Okay. Sorry, I was on another page of people. I couldn't hear you nod. Sorry.
No problem.
So I have the absolute honor and privilege of being able to work for this next organization. I met Mary and Sandy Winnefeld, the co-founders of Safe Project, when they were in North Carolina making a kind of a tour around the country in the very early stages of Safe Project to learn from parents and others that had been affected by the opioid crisis, not just through loss, but through law enforcement and what they needed, and doing massive amounts of research to go behind Safe Project and make Safe Project what it is today. Brittany Harrell, who is one of our communications experts with Safe Project, and make sure that the volunteer newsletters that I put out every month look pretty, is going to start us off and talk about Safe Project, and then we'll introduce Sandy and Ray Winnefeld. Brittany, if you will unmute, you're ready to go.
Hi, everybody. Randy, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Again, my name is Brittany Harrell. I am one of the communications managers for Safe Project. If you hear an echo around me, I apologize in advance. I just moved into my new house, which is great. But I have a little bit of an echo because I don't have a lot of furniture yet. thank you guys so much for having me here tonight. An absolute honor to be here with each and every one of you. So just a little background about Safe Project for those who don't know. Safe Project was founded in November 2017 after Admiral James and Mary Winfield lost their son Jonathan to an overdose. And on September 7th, 2017. After they lost Jonathan, they set out on a mission to help other families not go through what they go through and feel that pain that so many of you on this call right now you're way too familiar with. That has been their mission. We have Sandy with us tonight, and Sandy's just gonna go through a little bit about why him and Mary chose to start Safe Project, and what Safe Project is doing to help end the opioid epidemic in America. Go ahead, Sandy.
Thank you, Brittany, and thank you, Randy, very much. And thank you all for being here. And in particular, those of you who have experienced a loss and are still so much involved in this space. We know exactly how you feel. We know that you've chosen to keep this wound open every day in order to have an opportunity to help other people avoid it. So thank you all very, very much for what you do. As Brittany mentioned, we lost our son on his 4th day of college back in 2017. He had been in treatment for around 15 months, was doing beautifully. We saw our son come back to us. He got his emergency medical technician qualification. He was completely psyched about going to college, wrote a beautiful essay about helping a man in a McDonald's bathroom who had been going through an opioid overdose on the floor of the McDonald's bathroom as part of his EMT training, and how he was going to dedicate his life to helping other people. And then he was gone. And we, like many of you, decided we could curl up into a little ball of anger, grief, and shame, or we could try to do something about it with the platform that we have, with the people we know who could help us. And we just decided to do that. It's not about us, it's about the mission. And we've been very fortunate with some extremely talented staff members and some generous donors to create a national organization. SAFE stands for Stop the Addiction Fatality Epidemic. We do not compete with any organization out there and are delighted to work with any organization, be it local or national. The one thing we won't do, and I believe April referred to this as well, is we will not take money from a pharmaceutical company. We early on decided that our actions were going to be based on 6 threads, the very interrelated things that we think our nation needs to do in order to reverse this terrible epidemic. And the first one is awareness, not only to get the public behind our efforts, but as so many of you have pointed out tonight, the fact that public enemy number 1 in this whole crisis is stigma. And so public awareness is an effort we make to try to educate people and lower stigma. The second thread is prevention, full spectrum prevention, which is about the most credible voices talking to the most vulnerable audiences. And we've had a little bit of an interruption on that with COVID, but we've talked to something like 17,000 high school kids, and with stories of loss, stories of recovery, and the science of addiction. We also, prescription medicine and medical response, which is all about Narcan. It's all about educating people on the hazards of opioid prescriptions, educating doctors and dentists and the like, and Narcan training and availability and so on. We also believe that the nation needs to get its arms around law enforcement and justice. And we're not going to arrest our way out of this, particularly for users who are not dealers. We have a strong belief in drug courts and cooperation between law enforcement and the harm reduction community, which has actually gone so very well in North Carolina in several of your counties and cities. We also obviously feel very strongly about treatment and recovery. We've got a web application that's a treatment recovery locator, and we're building an application for recovery houses so people can find those very quickly. And then last but not least, it's about family outreach and support. If we only knew then what we know now, what we've learned over the last several years, we probably would still have our son with us. So those are the sort of 6 threads, but we push those threads essentially to 4 very important audiences, and we call them safe campuses, safe communities, safe veterans, and a new one that we put together, safe workplaces. And that's really where most of our effort lies. And we have great relations in North Carolina. We're very fortunate to have Randy as our volunteer coordinator, and he's a force of nature, as many of you know. We're just so happy to have him working with and for us. We also have Sarah Potter, who used to be North Carolina's prevention coordinator, working, and she's developed a wonderful program called Bridging Prevention and Recovery. You know, it never really dawned on me how the prevention and recovery communities really didn't, they actually competed with each other. And when you can imagine parents in high schools not really wanting people who are in recovery talking to their kids just out of fear and stigma, when in fact, some of those most powerful voices that can talk to a high school kid are somebody who's actually in recovery and who's been through this crucible and is getting through it. So I'm sure all of you understand that very well. So we're lucky to have Sarah on our team. How can we help you in your community? A host of ways, more ways than I can describe tonight. We have our treatment locator. We have the building recovery recovery home locator we're building. We do an awful lot with collegiate recovery programs. So if there's a college, whether it's a major college or even a community college in your community that doesn't have a collegiate recovery program, we can help them start one. We do a tremendous amount with signage, in which we try to encourage people to have powerful conversations with their doctors, to understand the hazards of opioid pain medication, and to encourage them to dispose of it responsibly so that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. And you all know all about that. We have had a program in which we've given 10,000 recovery drug disposal packets to families all across the country. All they had to do was ask for one and we would mail it to them from a company called Deterra, which was free. And a whole host of other things that we do. It's, again, not about us, it's about helping people. And you know, the key thing for us is it's very hard for us to measure our effectiveness because you never know when you've saved a life. But we do have a lot of anecdotal evidence, emails from people and that sort of thing that give us a good indication that we're having some kind of an effect. We can be found at safeproject.us, all one word, safeproject.us. We'd love to work with you or to help you in your communities. And again, thank you so much for Randy for giving us an opportunity tonight. I'm going to get you back on schedule. But once again, God bless all of you for what you're doing and for what you've been through. Our hearts are out there with you, and God bless you tonight. Thank you. And thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you, Randy. Oh, sorry, Randy.
Sorry.
No, just super quick. I just put our website and some resources in the chat for you guys.
Yeah. And anybody that ever has any questions, you know, I'm here. I put the, if you'll look at your program, I think I put my email, Brittany's email maybe, and our general contact email. So please just reach out to us anytime. Okay, so Frida, you are back up if you are ready. I'm going to let you talk about the overdose awareness walks that COVID so rudely interrupted this year.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Appreciate it. I'm Frida McDonald. I have Karen Sicocchio and Danette Jernigan with me this evening. They had been a lot of help with me when we were planning the walk. We started planning it last November, and then about 2 weeks before we were going to have it in March of this year, we had to cancel it due to COVID. So the good news about the walk was that we just continued on with the banners that were representing our loved ones that we were walking with, and we had 14 at the time that we had to cancel the walk, and we just continued on that mission with the hope that we will be able to have the walk again in the future. But unfortunately, we're now working on banner number 20, which means that since March, we have lost quite a few people. There are 150 faces on every banner, and there's a few that are behind me here. These are just small mini banners. They're 2 by 3 feet. The actual banners that are around, there's a lot of them being shown today around the country, and they're 4 by 8. A lady by the name of Tracy Curtis Carter is the individual that started making the banners. She lost her son, Trey, and started this mission with that loss. She joined forces with Debbie Nadler out in Las Vegas, who had the idea of having walks around the country to honor our loved ones, to bring awareness. And the two of them decided what would be very effective would be to show the faces of all the people that we were losing and not just numbers and stats. And that's how Drug Epidemic Awareness Walk Across America was started. When I first put my son Michael on the banner, he was on banner number 4. Michael passed away Valentine's Day 2016. So just in August of 2019, he was put on banner number 4. So as you can tell from that, there was a lot of loss from that time. And these are just moms that have submitted their information to the Facebook Can You See Me Now site, asking for their children and loved ones that they've lost to be added. So certainly it's really a small number if you look at the whole epidemic, but it does really speak volumes when you see the banners. We have a short video, if we have time to show that, Randy, that will show all of the 19 banners that are complete. It's only 2 or 3 minutes long, but I think it'll give you a really good idea of how these banners are used and just the impact that they have. And we will share the screen here if we can do that, Randy.
You should be able to share it. You've got co-hosts.
Okay. It says host disabled screen sharing.
Okay, hang on a minute. Let me make sure I put you. You're on as Karen, right?
Yes.
Now you got it.
Thank you. I want to get it. Thank you.
Girl. Hold on, this time.
There you go.
There we go.
Is it peaceful? Is it free like they say? Does the sun shine bright forever? Have your fears and your pain gone away? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left.
Baby.
And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. I hope you're dancing in the sky, and I hope you're singing in the angel's choir, and I hope the angels know they have. I bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. So tell me, what do you do in heaven? Are your days filled with love and light? Is there music? Is there art and invention? to land. And here on earth, I hope you're dancing in the sky. And I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. And I hope the angels know what they have. I'll bet it's so nice up
Thank you for watching that along with us. We have really been honored to try to carry on. We took some of these banners out to an event yesterday at the Vance County Courthouse. We have the first 14.
Overdose deaths in Denver are on the rise, and they're only getting worse.
Not sure what
People
that
are
is,
in
but we will
danger,
see if we can get rid of
and
it.
their lives are at risk. It is most definitely a crisis. It is most definitely an epidemic. My name's Jean Jones, and I'm the Adams County chapter lead.
Okay, sorry about that. But anyway, we appreciate your time with looking at those. If you have an interest in having your loved one on a banner, there's a Facebook site that's Can You See Me Now? And Tracy Curtis Carter will be more than happy to add your loved one. Then if you have an interest in actually having banners, you can also email her for that and she'll provide those to you. There is a cost for the actual banner. They're vinyl, so they can take the weather. And as I said, she has the 2x3 and she has the 4x8 sizes. We really do hope to have the walk again when the world rights itself, of course. But if things are somewhat better and we can do that, it would be wonderful if we could take March of 2021. That's what I'm thinking about right now, if we're able to. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Frida and Karen. So if you guys would put in the chat the link to that video, since it glitched out a little bit on us. You gotta love technology, guys. But so we're going to move right along. We are running just a touch behind schedule due to some of the technology glitches we've had, and I'm going to be sending out an email to a lot of people after this, and especially Zoom, trying to figure out why the heck about half of the links, it looks like, have not worked, even though everybody used the same registration and got the same link. So I'm not real sure what has happened. I apologize to our speakers and presenters who expected to see over 200 people here. Next, we have our keynote speaker, and Steve Mange. I mentioned earlier that I had met Sandy and Mary at a meeting in Raleigh, and that kind of led to me volunteering for Safe Project and then going to work for Safe Project. That meeting happened to be at our Attorney General's office, and Steve Mange and our Attorney General Josh Stein were gracious enough to invite me to that meeting, and it has quite honestly changed my life and giving me the opportunity to do something that I wake up and feel passionate about every day. So Steve, you are co-host, so you can unmute, and I'm going to let you and the Attorney General take it from here.
Thank you so much, Randy, and thanks to everyone who's here with us this evening. It's my pleasure to introduce my boss and your Attorney General, Josh Stein. Since he took office in 2017, Josh has made combating the opioid epidemic and substance use disorder a top priority of his administration. His office drafted the STOP Act, the HOPE Act, and the Synthetic Opioid Control Act to reduce the number of people who become addicted to opioids and crack down on illicit fentanyl. And all three of those laws were passed by the General Assembly and signed into law by Governor Cooper. Under Josh's leadership, the state joined with more than 100 partners, included many organizations represented at this event tonight, to launch More Powerful NC, a public education campaign to raise awareness, provide resources to people, and empower people to fight against addiction in their communities. As Attorney General, Josh is also focused on protecting North Carolina families from crime and consumer fraud. He's leading the effort to identify, track, and test untested sexual assault kits to help law enforcement identify and prosecute criminals, prevent crime, and bring closure to victims of crime. As Attorney General, Josh has also worked to protect taxpayers, seniors, students, and military families from fraud. Josh previously served as a state senator and as senior deputy attorney general at the Department of Justice. And in those roles, he led efforts to put more violent criminals behind bars by expanding the state's DNA database. He wrote the School Safety Act and the Identity Theft Protection Act, and worked to protect kids from online sexual predators. Josh grew up in Chapel Hill, graduated from Dartmouth, and earned law and public policy degrees from Harvard. He's married to Anna Stein, who many people on this call will know through her tremendous work at the North Carolina Division of Public Health. Josh and Anna have 3 kids who attended or are attending public schools just as they did many years ago. So Josh, the virtual floor is yours.
Steve, thank you. Appreciate those kind words. Much more importantly, I appreciate the dedication, professionalism, competence that you bring to the work as my policy director. Steve highlighted a number of the changes that we've achieved, the reforms, advances over these last few years. And anyone who's been involved in these issues know that his fingerprints are all over them, upside down, backwards, and forwards. And so, Steve, just know as a North Carolinian and a colleague, I'm very grateful to you and all your work. And everyone on this call should look at Steve as an immense resource. And I'll talk in a couple instances in my remarks about how that's so. But he is available to answer questions and offer ideas and share insight with you all. And that's true of my office generally, and hope that you guys on this call take advantage of it. I do want to say a word about Sandy and Admiral Sandy and Mary Winningfield and their Project Safe project. Randy's right. They came to North Carolina, spent a day with us, shared what they were working on, learned what we are working on, and are incredible partners on this issue nationally in helping to advance the discussion and try to make a difference, try to tackle this beast that is opioid addiction, so we can make a meaningful change. Randy, thank you for having me. International Opioid Awareness Day is going on across the country and world, and it's my pleasure to be able to be with you all and share some thoughts. And the first thing I want to say is just words of gratitude to each person who's on this call, because I know that many of you have been personally touched by an opioid overdose death. And if it wasn't a death, very likely that someone in your family is struggling with opioid addiction. And you know how it changes lives. It dramatically takes over the person who is struggling with addiction. It becomes an all-consuming chemical compulsion to get that morphine molecule in their body and scratch the itch that's in their brain that this addiction creates. And the consequences to that person's life can be devastating, and obviously for way too many, it can be deadly. But the impacts aren't limited to a person. When a loved one is struggling and has lost their autonomy and their will, and they're captive to some chemical addiction, the ripple effects are profound. It affects the parents, it affects the siblings, it affects the grandparents and the cousins and the aunts and uncles and the friends. And it's heartrending. And the fact that you all are here, you're trying to transform your sorrow and your heartache into something incredibly positive, because you don't want anyone else to experience the loss and the hole in your heart that you have. And just please know how much of my admiration you have, my gratitude that you have, because some families, when they deal with this, they resort to the shadows. They want to be in the dark and not accept or admit what has happened, and live with shame and stigma when there should be no stigma. This is a chronic illness, and that you all engage this issue and talk about it forthrightly. You're helping to transform the way our state and country consider addiction. And so that's going to make a huge difference for us as a country going forward, not only with the opioid addiction crisis, but whatever the next addiction crisis will be. We have to change the way we look about this problem, and you all are instrumental in helping us to do that. I so wish that we were together and we were at a better moment. But sadly, this is a bad moment. We fear that 2020 will be the deadliest year of opioid overdoses that we've ever experienced. And this is incredibly tragic in light of the progress we have made. But COVID-19 is a terrible beast. It's a beast not only to the people who are sick with it and the 180,000 people in America who have died from it, and the tens of millions of people who have lost their jobs because of it. But what we're seeing is all these ripple effects, these consequences where people who struggle with addiction are really having a tough time. There's isolation, there's loss of job, loss of social connection, there's depression, there's fear of going to hospitals. All of these things compound the problem that people with addiction experience. And what we believe we are seeing, the data is incomplete. We do not have North Carolina data yet, but the New York Times did an extended analysis a couple of weeks ago. And based on the states, the 40% of national population where they have current data, we're seeing a double-digit increase in the number of opioid overdose deaths this year from last year, upwards of 13%. And in North Carolina, it's so devastating because after years of hard work of people like you and people like Steve and people like our office and the governor's office and the legislature, we had started to see the positive effects of a lot of changes that we had made together collectively. Things like, in 2019, there was actually a 9% decline in opioid overdose deaths. Things like our renewed emphasis on prevention, the STOP Act, which addressed overprescribing. This problem, although the deaths are predominantly coming from fentanyl overdoses, fentanyl that's being laced with heroin, sometimes fentanyl laced with opioid pills, the crisis was born of overprescription of opioids over many, many, many years. And so reducing overprescribing will help us to reduce this problem. And we'd seen a 25% reduction in the number of opioid pills prescribed because of the STOP Act. And so that was a huge step forward. Steve mentioned our public education campaign, the More Powerful NC initiative, and we got millions of donated dollars of public communication, and it was on TV, on billboards, and any other form of communication we could find to try to educate people about the risks of these pills being left in people's homes. While the paid component of that program has come to an end, the information that exists on the website continues and is available to each one of you. I know that because you're on this call, you want to help other people who are struggling. You want to help inform the public about what it can do to reduce the number of people who die. And that information is still there. Just go to morepowerfulnc.org. It has facts. It has resources available to people with addiction. It has resources available to people who want to make a difference. And so go there. I encourage you to get the information. It has all kinds of pre-printed materials that you can use when you're out there giving speeches. It really is great information. And I do want to thank Steve for his effort shepherding that material that I'm sure we got input from you all in putting it together. In addition to our work on public education, we are doing everything we can to expand treatment options, because even if we succeeded and not another new person being addicted, there's still tens of thousands of North Carolinians who are, and we have to help those people transition from addiction to recovery. And that's hard work, and it requires treatment, and it requires recovery services, and that requires money. Insurance is the predominant way by which people get treated when they are sick. And North Carolina, sadly, is one of a dozen states that have not yet expanded Medicaid. So at every opportunity, I urge our legislature to simply just say yes to the federal government. The federal government is offering us this for 500,000 North Carolinians, and we should say yes. We must say yes. And if your legislator won't say yes, hire a new legislator this fall. I encourage you to consider doing that. A grave threat to the opioid crisis is the attempted elimination of the Affordable Care Act. Affordable Care Act, we're all familiar with it, Obamacare. It expanded the number of people who have insurance dramatically. In North Carolina, there are 1 million people who have health insurance through the Affordable Care Act, but for the Affordable Care Act would not have it. Seniors get cheaper drugs. People with pre-existing condition, and by the way, addiction is a pre-existing condition. People with pre-existing conditions cannot be discriminated against by insurance companies because of the Affordable Care Act. There is a group of Republican attorneys general that are trying to eliminate the Affordable Care Act in its entirety. Every single protection, every single advance gone, and that is being supported by the Trump administration. Thank goodness I and a number of other states intervened in that lawsuit to defend it, because if we didn't do that, the law would already be extinct. And I'm in the United States Supreme Court defending the Affordable Care Act. So people have a health insurance, and when they have health insurance, then they can get treatment that they so desperately need. We need to look at criminal justice from a new perspective. And the killing of George Floyd has really opened the eyes of many people about the shortcomings of our criminal justice system. I expect many of you on this Zoom were already aware of them. As a general matter, we use the criminal justice system to clean up all of society's ills, which is not what we should be doing. Instead of having our jails filled with people with addiction or people with mental health crises, we should be treating those folks through our healthcare system so that they don't end up creating criminal justice issues that we do have to deal with. The governor of North Carolina asked me and Associate Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court, Anita Earls, to co-chair a task force, the Task Force for Racial Equity in Criminal Justice. And our goal is both simple and profound. It's to identify and implement reforms to the criminal justice system to root out racial disparities which exist throughout the entire system. It's not only police citizen involvement, it's whether to arrest or cite a person, or to set bond or not set a bond, to do a plea bargain or not, to sentence, to punish in prison. All of these things are replete with inequities and disparities between Black and white people. And that is fundamentally contrary to what our criminal justice system is about. The words on the U.S. Supreme Court building are equal justice under law. And we do not live up to that ideal. It's our imperative to do so. We have public comment session this Thursday. So one of the things we're looking at is how we deal with diverting people with addiction out of criminal justice into healthcare. If you have thoughts on how the criminal justice system should be reformed, I urge you to participate and have your voice heard. The website is very easy. It's ncdoj.gov/trek, and I'll put it in the comments section. If you go there, ncdoj.gov/trek, then you can issue written comments, file written comments, which we will read, or you can sign up for this Thursday's public hearing for a 2-minute slot and have your voice heard. So please do that. A final word on something I've been working on intensively for 2.5 years now is helping to lead the national negotiations of attorneys general investigating the role of the drug manufacturers and drug distributors. I sued Purdue Pharma. We are in bankruptcy court right now, and I'm trying to get the owners of that company, the Sackler family, whom I believe are more responsible for this crisis than any other family in America. And they have secreted 10 or 11 billion dollars out of Purdue Pharma over the last decade into their personal family trusts. And I insist that they help pay to clean up this mess. And so I am pursuing them in bankruptcy court today. But I'm also negotiating with the drug distributors and other drug manufacturers. And it's a 55 jurisdiction coalition, every state in the country, the district and the territories. And we are getting very close. We're working really hard. We've made substantial progress. I have a call at 8:30 tonight to continue these negotiations. And I'm hopeful we'll succeed because they helped to create this problem and they need to help us clean it up. And to do so, I'm demanding billions of dollars nationally, hundreds of millions of dollars for North Carolina, so that they can pay for proven programs, whether it's needle exchanges or naloxone distribution or greater treatment options or supporting recovery programs. In fact, the memo of permissible abatement activities that is part of any deal, should we reach it, was drafted by Steve Mange. Steve was the one who authored this 5-page document with a host of a menu of potential programs that can be pursued with these monies should we succeed. And if I don't succeed in reaching a negotiated settlement, I will take all of them to court to seek the relief that we as a state so desperately needs. This work is hard. You all know it better than anyone else. You've lived it. You've lived it with yourselves or your loved ones. You know how challenging this is. But I've come across too many families that have positive, heartwarming, hopeful, optimistic outcomes where the person, the affected person, has overcome their addiction and is living a life of recovery and is joyful and in a family and working. And a lot of times they're working in this field to help other people and help pull them along to the same type of life that they're living. And what I know is that when we work together, when we reduce the number of people who become addicted, we help the people who are addicted overcome that addiction and live a life of recovery, that we can change lives. We can make things better for more people. And just know that as your Attorney General, I'm so grateful to all of you for what you're doing, and we'll continue to partner with you. You know, this isn't, I got a 4-year term. Dealing with the opioid epidemic does not work on an election cycle. Steve and I are going to be at this, and we know we're going to be at it, unfortunately, for years. But what we want to see is the number of people who get addicted go down. What we want to see is the number of people who die go down. And with our dedication together, we can do that, and North Carolina will be safer and stronger. And I thank all of you for having me this evening on International Opioid Awareness Day. And again, thanks so much for all that you're doing for North Carolina.
Attorney General Stein and Steve, thank you so much for being here. I know last year we tried to work it out. You know, this event has been on a holiday weekend every year. And, we actually made it to where we're not on a holiday weekend this year. So that was great, and it worked out, I think, in everybody's favor. So I thank you again for being here, and I know everybody, I've been watching the chat box. Everybody 100% is supportive, and we know the hard work, and we really appreciate everything you've done. Thank you.
Well, have a wonderful evening, everybody, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Okay, so now we will start moving into the reading of the names in the candlelight vigil. I would like to just, before we start, kind of set a couple of things up for everybody, and then we will just go straight into it. You know, again, it's unfortunate that we're not able to all be together to do this. I know this is a very meaningful part of the evening, but I hope that being here together and being able to read the names and listen to the names and, you know, light our candles individually will help make it meaningful for everyone, because we certainly, that's what we're here. That is, you know, why we're here. It's International Overdose Awareness Day, and it's to honor our loved ones that we've lost. You know, we also want to support recovery, and we want to encourage those that are in or seeking recovery and be here and be recovery allies. That's a discussion that for a whole nother meeting, but so as we get started, I'm just going to ask, I know I had planned on locking the chat box, but I honestly can't figure out how to do that without messing something else up, so I'm not going to touch it. But I would ask that everyone not be chatting during this time. And I've got everyone muted except for our speakers. So we're going to start with the reading of the names now. It was suggested that maybe if you have someone whose name will be read, that you could light your candle when that name is read, or feel free to light your candle at any time from here on out through the rest of the event. And I am going to turn it over to our first reader, Lindsay.
Alamance County. Can y'all hear me okay? Alamance County. Harry Cohen, Jessica Jordan, Lauren McBain Hubbard, Timothy Green, Ken King, Beaufort County, Zachary Grazier, Philip Thomas Beddard, Brunswick County, Andrew Budelsbacher, Ashley Dollar, Blaine Taylor, Brandon Bass, Christopher White, Cody Harnish, Damon Harris, Dave Peer, Heather Britt, Josh Berkowitz, Joshua Franca, Kirby Williams, Pamela Hewitt, Patrick Atkinson, Timmy Smith, Trey Fulford, Zaria Whittington, Buncombe County,
Blake Bailey, Hope Saunders, Jess Rickman, M. Seth Morgan, Megan Daves, Sean Kay, Tim Farham. Carvis County, Clint Patel, Jerry Roberts, Joshua Threadgill. Caldwell County, Joshua Buss. Catawba County, Amber Carter, Kent Dalston. Chatham County, Gabriel Boone Cummins, Heather Adele, Laura Summers, Megan Odom, Michael Carter, Wesley Waldroop. Cherokee County, Bethany Howell. Clay County, Linda Becker. Cleveland County, Jonathan Ledbetter. Craven County, Lacey Thorne. Cumberland County, Alexander Humphrey, Allison Thomas, Ashley Coles, Michelle Fletcher, Mike Burton Jr., Sasha Burns, Stephen Thornton. Davison County, Bradley White, Cody Jordan, Corey Hunt, Dustin Stiles, Frankie Vitagliano, Harvey Stevenson, Jeffrey Ard, Joshua Proctor, Lisa Estep, Merritt Pike, Paul Mills, Shane Hensley, Tyler Wade. Durham County, Andrew Stansel, Brad Dunnigan, Brandon Steele, Jake Ushane, Nick Musgrove, Nicole Plevy, Sam Sporn, Joey DeHaans. Edgecombe County, Alan Clark, Ryan Joyner, Sean Coley. Frost County, Adam Creek, Jason Perry, Josh Nixon, Lauren Church, Mark Workman II, Ryan Sprinkle, Taria Stevens, William Scott. Franklin County, Austin Quinn, Michael Simpson, Taylor Allen, Austin Chowdhury, Courtney Ratteller, Joseph Morgan, Joshua Ross, Zachary Arnold. Granville County, Amanda Rice, Heaven Lee Nelson, Jeremy Wilson, Joshua Holland, Crystal Hardin, Vincent Rodenwold.
Guilford County.
I'll let Angie.
Guilford County, Aiden Toscas, Andrew Brannon, Brian Johnston, Brittany Boone, Bryant Joyner, Chad Trent, Graham Gallagher, Grant Reese, Griffin Kelton, Jared Archibald, Jeffrey Terez, Jordan Archibald, Joseph Dubell, Joshua Walker, Canny Clay, Kirsten Pogg, Christy Fuqua, Scott Saxon, Skylar Hirsch, Stephen Brown, Stephen Fife, Thomas Matthew Spradley, Tyler Woody, Tyler Williams, Vanessa Abbott, Walter Molden, Zach Bumgarner, Christopher Joyner, CJ Unterstein, Jeremy Graham, Harnett County, Josh Barefoot, Mark Parrish II, Will Hayes, Haywood County, Clay Suggs, Danielle Ash, Lucas Crawford, Samuel Johnston, Henderson County, Tom Ward, Hyde County, Gabriel Bailey, Iredell County, J.D. Bunch, Joel Keegan McGinnis, Catherine Grace Moses, Dawson Pettit, Johnston County, Dakota Strickland, Jeremy O'Neill, Ryan Taylor Moore, Thomas Moorfield, Jones County, Matthew Fothergill, Lee County, Corey Clark, Daniel Whitaker, Gavin Cox, Justin Sharp, Timothy Willett, Lenore County, Caitlin Rouse, Lincoln County, Garrett Alexander Fleming, Joshua Ayers, Ryan Patak, Macon County, Michael O'Donnell, Martin County, Ashley Taylor, Mecklenburg County, Carrie West, Danny King, Hunter Dalton, Jason Freeman, Michael Regon, Sarah Brown, Stacy Ramsey, Travis Witt, James Russell, Daria Ken, Moore County, Heather Kelly, Nash County, Barbara Simek, Billy Gardner, Cody Joyner, Cody Robbins, John Godwin, Jordan Raquel Gilbert, Lindsay Alford, Tate Faulkner, Travis Evans, Robert Ponte, New Hanover County, Amanda Downey, Amber Waters, Dylan Shannon, Joy Muff, Josh Wilson, Joshua Parnell, Joshua Glaser, Joshua Daltrey, Stephen Scheck, Stephen Horn, Onslow County, Jason West Sapp, John Gillespie, Jonathan Barefoot, Matthew Eister, Morgan McKinney, Shane Cray, Orange County, Cameron McAnch, Christina Brown Johnson, Gavin Remeli, Josh Nicholson, Katie Thomas, Kevin Cummins, Kevin Bryant, Paul Hammock, Sterling Mack Bryant, Justin Zinzer.
Pender County, Anthony Campolone, Patrick Rayner, Quimmins, Mariah Ricks, Eddie Gerganis, Pitt County, Ariana Savoy, Domingo Rodriguez Q, Kaylin Rich, Megan McPhail, Michael Carden, Polk County, Samantha Russell, Randolph County, Ashley Hines, Jessica Clonch, Kelly Hale, my daughter, Maddie Marini, Prez Simmons, Violet Charles, Robeson County, James Smith, Rockingham, Caleb Shelton, Danielle Ruggiero, Roanne, Curtis Dawkins, Hunter Brown, Rutherford County, Michael Browning, Sampson County, Nelson Heath, Brett Lewis, Stanley County, Jesse Bunkowski, Stokes County, Joshua Venable, Surrey County, Austin Heath, Brandon Moxley, Colleen Payne, Matthew Absher, Transylvania County, Kara Jean Leone DeCoste, Union County, Joey Symes, Jonathan Washburn, Justin Tarleton, Justin Symes, Vance County, Jeremy Height, Crystal Height, Edith Height, Edward Medlin Jr., Linda House, Preston Powell, Wake County, Abigail Cox, Alex Slaney, Alan Belk, Alyssa Camejo, Andrew Cohn, Andy Kutchuk, Austin Becker, Brent Woodleaf, Brittany Vanden Heuvel, Bryce Jaden, Caleb Melman, Christopher Brown, Cole Gouvetes, Crystal Del Ponte, Dylan Jeffries, J. Douglas Martin, Jacqueline Helmk, Jason Stutz, Ashley Sherman, Jeremy Harrison, Jeremy Cox, Jarrell Watson, Jesse Johnson, Jonathan J.D. Burkhart, Joseph Hockett II, Joseph Foot, Joseph Sutton, Leighton Holliday, Lee Pridgeon, Marvin Ratliff, Melissa Sandstrom, Michael Morong, Michael Ferguson, Michael Hoyle, Mingo Rodriguez Q, Parker Stevenson, PJ Donahue, Ryan McKinney, Sally Moore, Sheldon Oxley, Trent Triplett, Trevor Nelson, Michael Brooks,
Alex Martin, Linda Coiner, Watauga County, Brett Airy, Travis Carrico, Wayne County, Nathaniel Brashears, Wilson County, Jonathan Cannon.
We will now hear from Rodney Cole.
First, I want to give God glory and thank you, Randy and Ms. Whitaker, and the stories that I heard this evening from Ms. Amy and Ms. Taylor really touched my heart. And also, I want to thank for all the resources that we have out here. I'm going to say a very quick message in a prayer, but I want to reminisce on the surrender prayer. As it said, God, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I mean, God, give me the time in my life to be calm and be peaceful. Courage to change the things I cannot. Give me the strength to face the pain and grief. Give me the wisdom to know the difference, have good judgment, and make good decisions. Again, I want to thank each and every one was here. And I've been on this line since 5 o'clock. And I will say that my heart been touched in such a way by hearing these things are going on in our community and to hear all the different resources that is out there. And I have to say at this time that I want to get more involved with this here because it's a need for us all to come together. We are here together for each other. Let me say a quick prayer. Lord, we just want to thank you again for all that you've done. We thank you, Lord, as you guide us and lead us. We ask you, Lord, to touch the families, Lord, those who have lost their loved ones, Father, Lord. We ask you, Lord, to continue strengthening us, God, that we continue working together, Lord, in unity for our community. Thank you all the resources that came to the table. Thank you those who have lost family members who have come to the table and to continue helping with such a problem in our community. Thank you for the speakers was on earlier and giving us insight, just hearing from our Eternal General, things that he's working on, Lord, and continue to strengthen him. We ask you, Lord, as this forum taking place, of this awareness, God, that we continue touching people and helping one another and preventing these issues to happen to our family. And we thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen. So those of you that have been a part of this event every year know that there is a very special poem that we read during the vigil every year. This year we are honored to have the author of that poem who is going to read that for us. Kathy?
Thank you, Randy, and good evening, everyone. The Irish writer Samuel Beckett once said, "All poetry is prayer." So tonight I offer this poem to you as a prayer, always for you. Sometimes the silence is too much, settling over me like a shroud, heavy and dark and oppressive, a loneliness that takes hold of my heart. Unspeakable loss, unspeakable grief, unspeakable sorrow. What might have been, what could have been, if only. And yet, there still remains your bright light shining in my heart, treasured memories and moments shared, our love unfettered and unbound. Today, we're joined together in our pain as we lift our voices heavenward with one collective cry, carried on these winds of hope. We rally here to fight for change, for you, always for you.
Thank you. I am going to, two things real quick before we have our final prayer. I've had quite a few people message me in the chat box about the video loop that we showed at the beginning. So two things. It is posted on YouTube, but I will, after the final prayer, as everyone begins to exit the event, I will run the loop again of all of our lost loved ones. So thank you all for being here and for, even though, like I said, this is not the ideal way that we wanted to do this. We wanted to be together in person, and privilege that we will be able to do that again very soon. So, Pastor Cole, if you would give us a final prayer.
All right, if we could just have our eyes bowed, our head bowed, and our eyes closed. Heavenly Father, we thank you again, Lord, as we may be leaving this virtual Zoom, Lord, but we're not leaving your presence, God. We ask you, Lord, to guide each and every one hard in their directions, God, as they continue seeking you for all directions they need to go. We just again thank you again for what you have already done this evening. Lord, for those who are traveling, let them travel safely. And we give it all to you, Lord, right now. All the God children will say, amen.
Amen.
I know goodbye was not the word you wanted to say, and I'm sorry for right now, it's this way. I know it's hard to believe in things you cannot see, but trust me, it's better than we ever dreamed. So close your eyes, I am near. Cry only happy tears, for I am with Trust me, it's better than we ever dreamed. So close your eyes, I am near. Cry only happy tears. For I am with the one who my soul so deeply loves, and will wait for you up here. There may be times you just can't help but break down and cry, wishing so bad I could be right by your side. But he will hold you until then. Let him be closer than he's ever been. I promise.